morning, everyone. Magandang umaga po. A blessed morning to all our CEAP member schools all over the Philippines. I am Marianne Cruz, the Deputy Executive Director of the CEAP, and I will be your moderator for today. Welcome to the third CEAP webinar series. Today, we will have the very first session of this particular series. We will have the opening prayer this morning as part of the session proper. So before that, may I just give you some reminders. First, as the talk is ongoing, we encourage you to post your questions or comments at the comment section of this Facebook page, and we will ask these questions or read the comments during the question and answer portion. Second, please be informed that you will receive the certificate of attendance only upon completion of the evaluation form. The link will be posted in the comment section at the bottom during the question and answer portion and will be available until 2 p.m. today. We encourage you to answer the evaluation form and you will receive your certificate of attendance within the next days. Thank you. And since this is our very first talk for the third webinar series, our executive director will give us an overview and tell us what we can look forward to in the next 4 weeks. Please welcome Mr. Jose Alan Arellano.
Thank you very much, Marianne. Mabuhay at magandang umaga po sa inyong lahat. Welcome to the first webinar of the third leg of the CAAP webinar series. Since June 8, we have been having webinars as service to our member institutions to help them to cope up with the new normal in the midst of the very uncertain times. The first two webinar series were meant as a rollout of the work of the CAAP Task Force COVID-19 for institutional assessment and response. The task force worked at exploring the various ways by which our schools can adjust to the new normal through a school continuity plan. The first two legs of our webinar series, which we offered to our member schools in partnership with the Private Education Assistance Committee, or PAC, through the Aspire program, dealt with various issues in school community planning, from revisiting school fees, online enrollment, legal matters, risk assessment and management, to ensuring safety and security in schools, leadership and governance in the time of COVID, to designing instructional modules and choosing the best learning management systems for our schools. We are also thankful to Raxo City for being our partner in hosting our webinar, our web platform for these webinars. The third leg of our free webinar series, which we bring to you in partnership with Cleaves Publishing, are commission-based webinar offerings. We offer you 4 webinars from the Christian Formation Commission, 3 webinars from the Legal Committee, and 2 from the National Basic Education Commission, for a total of 9 webinars in all. Since we have decided to cancel all face-to-face conferences and summits this year, the 4 CAP NCFC webinars that we are offering will take the place of the annual National Christian Formation Conference, which we normally have every July or August. These webinars will deal with ensuring excellence in our Catholic schools, even during this time of pandemic. This is what we'll be having today. The other 3 will deal with responding to the challenge of encounter and dialogue in religious education, now that we'll be employing remote teaching, the role of parents in Christian formation, and social apostolate and campus ministry in the new normal. The offerings of the legal committee will be ensuring student discipline and safety during distance learning, data privacy in an online world, and corporate responsibilities of Catholic schools. These are the reports that we need to submit to SEC during this time of the pandemic. Finally, the National Basic Education Commission will be offering a part 2 of the much-attended session of Ms. Debbie Grafil. If the first session was on designing powerful modules, this time, Ms. Grafil will be guiding us in delivering these modules given the different modalities of instruction: synchronous, asynchronous for students with no connectivity, limited connectivity, or with full connectivity. The other session will deal with making a distinction between homeschooling and home-based schooling and clarifying the role of the parents in its implementation. Thus, for the next 4 weeks, we invite you to make it a habit to visit the CAP Facebook page every Tuesday and Thursday from 10 to 12 noon from today, July 21 to August 18, as we roll out these exciting webinars for you. Please don't forget to share these webinars to your friends and colleagues who you know will benefit from them. We just want to remind you that these webinars are for free, so please do not give your credit card details to anyone. Thank you. Let me now introduce to you our speaker for this webinar entitled Articulating, Affirming, and Advocating for Catholic Identity in Uncertain Times, a Recipe for Excellence. He is currently the Regional Trustee of the CAP National Capital Region and also the Chairperson of the National Christian Formation Commission of SEAP. Friends, let us all welcome Father Nolan A. Palakpakan.
Good morning to all the Christian formators who are with us in this webinar. More than a lecture series, I would like to make this one a time for us to reflect on, hopefully, with the help of the Lord, after which then we will be set on fire again. It will be a new Pentecost for all of us amidst the pandemic that we're going through. So we'll start this webinar with a prayer. But before the prayer, then we'll sing the song entitled Manalika. I invite everyone, please join me as we start to open this webinar sponsored by National Christian Formation Commission. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen.
Siya'y isang pangarap, siya'y buhay. Hindi siya nakakalimot kay Jesus. Manalig ka, manalig ka.
God our Father, as we have this webinar today, allow us to feel your presence, guide us in our ministry. May this reflection lead us into a new Pentecost amidst the pandemic that we're going through. All this we ask through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, and of the Son, and of the Holy Spirit. Amen. Again, good morning to all the Christian formators all throughout the Philippines. Today, we'll reflect on the topic entitled Articulating, Affirming, and Advocating for Catholic Uncertainty and Uncertain Times, a recipe for excellence. Well, three big words: articulating, affirming, and advocating. Can we all say that together? Articulating, affirming, and advocating for Catholic identity in uncertain times. No? Well, I hope you noticed that my greeting was not simply good morning. I would always say God morning. Well, hindi lang pa-cute yan. Yung God morning, God afternoon, good evening. Because I would like that as Christian formators, every day would not just simply be a chronos for us. No. The reckoning of time could either be chronos and kairos. Chronos is chronology, no? Chronology. Today is Tuesday, tomorrow will be Wednesday, and as expected, before, well, 3 days from now, it will be Friday and weekends again. Chronos, time as a measurable resource. But I look forward that every day it becomes an experience of kairos. It becomes an appointed time. Appointed time. It becomes an opportune time. You know, when we were trying to come up with a date, hindi naman namin ni Mean tiningnan kung ano yung liturgy. No? And I hope you understand how really God works. For those who have attended the Mass this morning, the Gospel reading for today would remind us of a very, very powerful word coming from Jesus. The Gospel of Matthew, when Jesus was saying, "Who is my brother? Who is my mother? Here are my mother and my brothers. For whoever does the will of my heavenly Father is my brother, my sister, and my mother." Wow. Doing the will of the Father. For me, that's kairos. Doing the will of the Father. And I hope and look forward to that what we're doing now is doing the will of the Father, and brought about by which it will become a kairos moment for all of us. It will set all of us fire amidst the many challenges that we're going through. So please be with us. This will not be for 2 hours. This will be throughout the day. Okay lang sa inyo, maghapon to? No? Tumawa yung iba, ha? No, this will only be until 12 o'clock. But I'm really praying that this will become a kairos experience for all of us. And every day, look forward to that kairos experience. So the first slide, were you part of the first CAP convention? Meron ba sa inyo na nakasali sa first CAP convention? It was in 1941 that the CAP convention took place. And who was the Archbishop then? Michael O'Doherty. And what was his address, his opening address in 1941? Meron ba sa inyo pinanganak 1941? I was not born yet that time, no? Would anybody here joining the webinar who has been part of the first convention of the CAP, please message us so that we can recognize you, no? If you've been part of the first CAP convention. In that convention, what was the opening words of Michael O'Doherty. He said, the final end of every Catholic school, just like the final end of man's existence on this earth, is the glory of God and the salvation of souls. Final end. Does it ring a bell to you? Does it ring a bell to me? Does it ring a bell to all of us? Well, are we going to the final end? Are, are our Catholic schools going to the final end? With this pandemic experience, are we going to the final end? Di ako nananakot. Hindi nananakot si Father. But it becomes a wake-up call for all of us. No? Before explaining this to you, allow me to present to you the objectives of our webinar. Next slide, please. Number one, to explain the scope of the effects of the pandemic to Catholic schools. Have you been affected? In what way have you been affected? Meron ba sa inyo na estudyanteng namatay brought about by this pandemic? No? Something I really cannot forget. I cannot forget but remember this student of mine named Kyle, a 12-year-old boy. I happen to know it because his mother called me up. Sabi ng nanay, Father, please pray for Kyle. He is now at the ICU being intubated. Sabi ko, what happened to him? And you know what the mother told me? Father, before we entered the ICU, he was calling your name. He was saying, Father Nolan, Father Nolan. So that prompted the mother para tawagan ako. I was praying, Lord, please. It was an experience of a real COVID. All the while I thought it's just the in thing for today. But you know, it was real. COVID really kills. 5 days later, Kyle expired. It was painful for me because I would always remember him every time I would visit the school. Palagi siyang kumakaway, Father, how are you? He would make and find these ways to approach me and embrace me. Well, that's only one of the many effects of this pandemic to our Catholic schools. Every day, I have been monitoring the enrollment of all our schools. There is a very slow, constant increase, 1%, 2%, 3%. And all these things are something that we all experience. What else? I'm so afraid that we may be losing our teachers. We have to let go of some of our teachers, to which I'm praying hard that it won't happen. I'm praying that no teacher of Catholic schools will find themselves losing their job simply because we do not have enrollees for this year. Number one objective is to explain the scope and the effect of this pandemic to all our schools. Second, to propose ways to reshape education as a response to the challenges set by the pandemic. You know, I'm Chinese. I think it's obvious. I'm Chinese. For us, we always find opportunity. So what can be an opportunity that can be found brought about by this pandemic? No? I'm pretty sure there are so many opportunities. I'm pretty sure. And I believe there are a lot of blessings that can be found out of this experience that we're going through as Catholic educators. I was telling fellow administrators previous years, ang dami-dami nag-i-enroll. Ngayon, araw-araw, bawat bata na pumapasok sa eskwelahan, mag-enroll, binibilang namin. Nakailan na ba kayo? Father, nakadalawa na po. Oh, thanks be to God. But I never have said that word, thanks be to God, previous years. Because it is something that I always expect and maybe taken for granted for the previous years. Ngayon, every time I will go to the finance office, I will ask them, ilan na ba naka-enroll? Father, dalawa na po. Ay, salamat. May ilan na ba? Father, tatlo na po. Thanks be to God. No? Maybe that's one blessing that we have learned to appreciate even small things because we have been used to big things. No? So maybe that's also a positive effect of this pandemic, but that will be discussed later on. The third is to reinforce the purpose of a Catholic school and its defining characteristic. I'm not sure if you have heard this. I've heard this from parents. I've had a lot of Zoom meeting with parents convincing them that they should enroll this year. Alam niyo sinasabi nila sa akin, sabi niya, Father, pasensya na po. Parehas naman po ang mangyayari ngayong taon. They will not be going to the school. They will be staying at home and they will be just using modules. Parehas naman po. I think that's very critical. We should be able to show to the parents what's the difference. What's the difference when they enroll and they continue to enroll their children to Catholic schools? Hindi pwedeng parehas lang. Because after all, when we are not able to answer this question, then by all means, we will lose students. Because that's always their question. Father, anong kaibahan? What makes now, in this new normal, what makes studying in a Catholic school different from studying in a free school offered by the government? What differentiates? Dapat alamin natin yan. And dapat we should know how to respond. Otherwise, we will not really have enrollees for this year. Parents would say, Father, antay na lang natin, Father, next year, baka ibabalik uli namin. No? So that's something that we should be able to answer. And fourth, to inculcate the spirit of communio. We keep on mentioning that. But this morning, I would give a new flavor to communio. Communio, for me, means intentional. We have to create in all our schools, in all our Catholic schools, an intentional faith-based community. Intentional. Later on, you would understand what I mean when I speak of intentional. Intention, huh? Watch your thoughts. They become words. Watch your words. They become actions. Watch your actions. They become habits. And watch your habits. They become character. Intention. An action would always start from intention. So that can be a powerful key that for the continuous existence of our Catholic schools, when we are able to create in all our Catholic schools the so-called the spirit of communion. And spirit of communion would mean a slant to the word intentional. Intentional faith community. So these are the 4 objectives, and I look forward to be able to accomplish this in a span of 1 hour. No? So we start with the word articulating. When we speak of the glory of God, how do we understand the glory of God? In the Catechism of the Catholic Church, when we speak of the glory of God, it says there, the world was created for the glory of God. Next slide, please. The world was created for the glory of God. You find that in the Catechism of the Catholic Church, 293. You can check it out. No? When we speak of the glory of God, how do we understand it? God created all things not to increase His glory, but to show it forth and communicate it. That's from the very words of Saint Bonaventure. So when we speak of the glory of God, then how do we understand the glory of God? The glory of God. You remember, we celebrated the feast of Bonaventure last week, the seraphic doctor. Bonaventura. Bonaventura means good fortune. According to Bonaventure, he says, when we speak of the glory of God consists in the realization of this manifestation and the communication of the goodness that comes from the Lord. And take note, according to Bonaventure, this is how God communicated His glory to all of us. Take a look at this. It says, Christ has something in common with all creatures. Christ has something in common with all creatures. With the stone, He shares existence. With plants, He shares life. With animals, He shares sensation. With angels, He shares intelligence. With us, what did God share? God share his own life. So that means when we speak of the glory of God should be seen in all of us. When we are able to communicate the goodness, when we are able to communicate God himself to others. Next slide, please. And the question would be, how are we able to communicate goodness? How are we able to communicate God? How are we able to communicate God himself in the midst of the pandemic that we're going through? Alam niyo naman siguro, take a look at the reports. 2 million students, according to Kokopea, 2 million students to leave private schools amid COVID-19, says Kokopea. Okay lang ba yon? Okay lang ba? We just have to accept this. We just have to say, well, what can we do? This is the trend. Take note, when we don't do something, then we are not able to communicate God. When we don't do anything at all, then the goodness that could have been received by the student is not communicated. And when that very thing is not communicated, then we don't communicate the glory of God. Okay lang ba to? No, sometimes I would talk to fellow administrators and they would just tell me, Nolan, hinay-hinay ka. Baka you might be disappointed. Nolan, baka mag-breakdown ka after a while when targets are not met, although you have done your part. No? Ang hindi ko na lang ginawa ang mag-TikTok. Yun na lang siguro ang hindi ko ginawa yung mag-TikTok. No? I've had Zoom meeting with parents consistently. I've had Zoom meeting with students. I have allowed myself to be the main communicator in all our schools. I said there should be one who will have to communicate. And I took the full responsibility of communicating. Nagbunga na ba yung effort? 2 to 3% every day. So nagbibilang ako ngayon. Kahapon, we have 50% in the clusters out of the 6 schools. So there's an increase of 2% every day. 2% multiplied by 5, that's 10%. You'll have 60% this week. Next week, you have hopefully you have another 10%. You have 70%. And before the class opening, you have another 6%. So you only have 76%. You have done your part, you have given your all, yet you don't meet the target of, my brother has been cautioning me. Sabi ng kapatid ko, Nolan, hinay-hinay lang ha. Baka ma-disappoint ka, sasama ang loob mo. Pag suma ang loob mo, baka magkasakit ka. No? But when you're convinced of what you're doing, by all means, you really have to give your all. You really have to give your all. No? Next slide, please. We have here a report coming from UNICEF. There will be 1.6 billion learners that has been affected by this pandemic. UNICEF reported that 191 countries had closed their schools completely, with most other countries closing them partially, brought about by this pandemic. Next slide, please. Trends of enrollment for private schools in the Philippines from EZE to junior high school. When it was something given to me, analyzing this graph, you would notice that the highest increase of enrollment was in 2013. Okay, in 2013, dami nag-enroll, but basically the graph would tell us that every time there is an economic problem, talagang bumababa yung enrollment. Di ba nag-project daw, 25% daw ang mag-enroll lang sa atin? Will you all buy that? Will you accept that? I will not. I will not. No? Thanks be to God. We are now we are now crossing over 50%. I will not accept that. If you are a Catholic educator, please don't accept that report. that will be losing students. When I say we don't accept that, that means we have to work hard. We have to pray hard. I tell you, I have not prayed this hard in my entire life as a priest. I've been a priest for 20 years. Since the lockdown started, araw-araw nagmimisa, araw-araw nagdadasal. No? I've been very consistent in terms of prayer, and I thank God for that. No? Next slide, please. The effects to Catholic schools. Ano ang mangyari? Expected decline in enrollment in multiple countries. Even, for example, public schools. Based on the report last week, no, or 2 weeks ago, they only have 80%. 80% compared to the number of enrollees they have previous year. So dahil doon, anong gagawin natin? Are we aware of the effect of this decline if we just simply accept it? Next slide, please. These are the immediate challenges from school closure. Losses in learning and the risk for some children to even drop out of the school. Now, my area is Tondo. Have you been to Tondo? No? So maybe when I say Tondo, does it ring a bell to you, Tondo? Remember what Catriona, during the question answer for our Miss Universe, Catriona Gray? No? I've seen the life in Tondo. No? I've seen the life in Tondo and I feel sad. No? So with all the schools in Tondo, public schools, and even private and Catholic schools, I can still see a lot of young children on the street. How about this year? I suppose if we don't work hard, double time, then this is one immediate effect. They'll be dropped out. Second, losses for children from disadvantaged groups. When I say disadvantaged group, no. Alam nyo, may SPED kami sa eskwelahan. Last year, I think we have the biggest number of enrollees. Last year, we have around 90. Alam nyo ba ngayon kung ilan? 3 lang. It's very challenging, no? Parents are begging, Father, if only we will be allowed that we send them to school, but we cannot, Father. So what shall we do? So may tutorial sila, yung online tutorial sa mga bata. Disadvantaged group for those who have been relying on scholarship. I have been appealing to alumni for funding for scholarship. I'm pretty sure, no? Even our donors, no? The donors to our schools, kukunti rin yun. Sasabihin nila, hindi namin kaya. Magbabawas din yun. So, pag kunti yung donor, so, magiging konti rin yung magiging possible scholars natin. And the third will be losses in well-being and mental health. Are we aware that many of our students are going through tough times brought about by this COVID? No? Are we aware that students are going through tough times brought about by the fact that they're not able to go out of their house? That is why we set up in the National Capital Region. We try our best to set up a platform wherein they can call and we connect to the guidance counselors of their respective school, and that really helps a lot. That really helps a lot. You know, yesterday, quite providential, before this talk, I got 2 calls from former students. They are now in college. Alam niyo ba tumawag sila? Sabi nung isa, Father, how can I see you for confession? Sabi ko, wow. Wow for confession. No? How old are you? Sabi niya, Father, I'm 17. Oh, you're 17. You're not allowed to go out alone. Father, I really need somebody to talk with. Father, na-miss ko na yung kinakausap mo kami. No? Sabi kong paalam ka sa magulang mo. Father, galit po sila sa akin. Sabi ko, sabihin mo na gusto mo akong bisitahin. Kasama ka sa kanila. No, a lot of our students are going through difficult moments as well. No? So if this cannot be addressed, no? If they are not able to connect again or reconnect again to our schools, then all the more we'll be having a lot of mental cases. Depressions are coming in. So brought about by this, next slide please, affirming. Let us not forget, that the school is the most significant institution that societies has so far developed to respond to the right of each individual to an education and to full personal development. You find that in the church's document. Mahalaga po ang eskwelahan natin. Nakita niyo po yon, mahalagang eskwelahan po natin. Napakahalaga po. No? Who you are today, who am I today, I owe this to Catholic education. Palagi ko sinasabi, ba't ako naging teacher? Siguro, I was unaware that I really appreciated most of my teachers. You know? I've been vocal in saying this. I belong, during my time, I belong to the morning session. I don't know kung natatandaan niyo pa yan. Yung mga panahon na yun, either you belong to the morning session or you belong to the afternoon session. It so happened that I belong to the morning session and my brother belongs to the afternoon session. So sometimes, well, our parents are busy with their work, so they are not able to fetch me after my class in the morning. So I find myself going around the school. I acted as a school supervisor. Siguro may ganun din sa inyo, ganun ikot ng ikot sa eskwelahan. No? And I cannot forget this teacher, Mrs. Magda So. No? You know what she did? She saw me loitering from one classroom to another. You know what she did? Tinawag niya ako. Hey, cute little boy, come here. What's your name? I said, Nolan. And why are you still here? I said, my parents have not picked me up. I have to wait for my brother because my brother belongs to the afternoon session. You know what she did? Sabi niya, sige, huwag kang ikot ng ikot. Sayang ng oras mo. You enter my room. You have a small place there. So she gave me a table and a chair where I can sit. And that acted my permanent chair and table for 1 year every afternoon when my parents would fail to pick me up. And she happened to be an English teacher. And I ended up sleeping inside her classroom. At 4 o'clock, she would wake me up and she would tell me, Nolan, time for you to go. Maybe your parents is now waiting for you at the guard's house. The importance, maybe that experience of mine made me an educator. Because after I got ordained as a priest, when I had a conversation with Cardinal Sin then, ang tanong niya sa akin, anong ministry ang gusto mo pag ikaw ay after mong ma-ordain bilang isang pare? Sabi ko, I mentioned, finally what he said, no, I want you to become a teacher. And I ended up becoming a teacher. Because I know the importance of schools. No? The school is the most significant institution that society has so far developed to respond to the right of each individual to an education and to full personal development. Next slide, please. I hope you are one with me. No? Mahalaga po ang ating mga paaralan. No? Pero sa atin, hindi lang tayo paaralan. We are a Catholic school. We are Catholic schools. And what is the purpose? The purpose of Catholic education. The school is a place of ecclesial experience which is molded in the Christian community. I would like to heighten that, no? The ecclesial experience. And when we speak of the ecclesial experience, anong ibig sabihin nun? 4 po ito, ha? Next slide, please. Number 1, in the school, we should be able to provide an atmosphere in which the gospel message is proclaimed. Later on, you would understand what I'm saying now. Well, okay naman, may mga signages tayo, may nakalagay doon yung mga biblical passages. Yan bang ibig sabihin nito? To provide an atmosphere when the gospel message is proclaimed? Or all throughout No? All throughout, I would always say when we speak of the curriculum, the moment somebody enters the gate of the school and that student in the afternoon leaves the school, yan ang kahulugan ng curriculum. Buo yan. The second purpose now of Catholic education, the community experience Christ. Siguro narinig nyo na yung mga remark ko minsan sa atin, Catholic school pa naman kayo. Diba? Sa Catholic school ka pa naman. No? Ba't ganyan kayo sa Catholic school? No? We always hear the remark because it is already expected that when we are in a Catholic school, iba talaga. Iba talaga. The third would be the service to our brothers and sisters is the norm. Let me repeat this. The service to our brothers and sisters is the norm. And it becomes a habit, it becomes a lifestyle. I have been to a community, nakakatawa. Nag-uunan sila maglingkod. And it happened, I was there, it was a meal time. No? Nakakatawa. Nag-uunan sila maglagay ng tubig. No? So service is the norm in all our Catholic schools. And fourth, thanksgiving and worship to God is cultivated. So these are the four purposes of Catholic education. Let me repeat. To provide an atmosphere in which the gospel message is proclaimed. Meron bang Bible reading sa ating mga eskwelahan? Or sa CL lang, CL subject lang. No? So I would understand, for example, it has become a norm. Every Monday, the CL teachers now would ask the students, did you attend the Mass? Show us the proof that you have attended the Mass. What was the gospel? What did you learn? Kasi lang. But take note, gospel message is proclaimed not only during CL class, but the gospel message is proclaimed all throughout the school's setting, all throughout the curriculum. Next slide, please. Advocating. Let us not forget that a vibrant school can nourish an entire community by becoming a service of hope and creative energy. Sarap, if the parents would say, magsusumikap ako kahit napakahirap ngayong pandemic, magpapaaral pa rin ako sa Catholic school. Have you heard of that? Parents would say, kahit mahirap, Father, talagang hindi ko i-give up yung pag-aaral ng anak ko sa Catholic schools. No? Ipapangutang ko, Father. No? Take note, a vibrant school can nourish an entire community by becoming a service, hope, and creative energy. Ang ginawa namin, may mga magulang na medyo may edad na, no? Tumatawag sila, Father, bawal kaming lumabas. Kami, Father, papaaral ng apo namin. Paano yun, Father? Kung minsan nag-message sa akin direkta, Father, baka pwedeng ipadala mo na lang sa amin yung libro at mga modules, no? Anong sagot ko? All the time. Yes. Yes. No? I had a request last night of one of the lolos. No? Father, I'm old. I cannot go out. And my apo has been asking me if we have enrolled. I told him not yet because I cannot go out of the house. So, Father, can you do a favor? Can the school do a favor for me? Papuntahin, Father, sa bahay. Doon lang kami mag-enroll. Service is our norm. No? And what has been that basis of service? We go back to the devotion of the earliest community in Jerusalem. Next slide, please. I would like to underline the word devotion. Devotion of the earliest community in Jerusalem. So ito yung ginagawa, teaching of the apostles, breaking of the bread, fellowship and prayer. But they devoted themselves studying the teaching of the apostles. They devoted themselves in the breaking of the bread. They devoted themselves in fellowship. They devoted themselves in prayer. I like the word devoted. How do we understand that word devoted? When you have a devotion, you do it consistently, right? Well, we all have our personal devotion. A lot of people have devotion to the perpetual help. That's every Wednesday. So every Wednesday, it becomes your date with the Blessed Mother. Pag umulan ba, pupunta ka pa rin sa Baklaran? You have a devotion, for example, to St. Jude. Thursday ba yun? Thursday, St. Jude? Pag may rally ba, hindi ka na pupunta? Huh? You have a devotion, for example, to Sacred Heart. That's every Friday, right? Pag umulan ba, hindi na. Pag napagod ka ba, hindi na. Pag inaantok ka ba, hindi na. No? When we speak of a devotion, it is something that is being done consistently. Devotion means commitment. Devotion means commitment. Devotion means passion. Well, it becomes a common experience, for example, of Christian educators. Di ba kahit may sakit tayo, gusto natin pumunta sa eskwelahan. No? Ewan ko kung totoo yan para sa lahat. No? Halimbawa, umulan. Anong naisip mo agad? Sana i-declare na walang pasok. Is that an expression of devotion? Sana classes will be canceled. No? Now, yesterday, I got this news. Pinirimahan na daw ni Duterte. Si President Duterte daw, siya na daw ang pwede mag-declare kung kailan ang umpisa ng klase. Tinawagan ko yung kaibigan kong pare. Sabi ko, anong ang gagawin natin? Sabi niya, by all means, we set our direction and we give our full commitment to open classes as announced. And we have been allowed by the Department of Education. Yung isa naman tinawagan ko. Sabi ko, ano mangyayari? Sabi niya, buti nga para makapagpahinga tayo. Sabi ko, wow, makapagpahinga. Sabi ko, so it's a betrayal to our commitment. It's a betrayal to our commitment. If we are devoted to what we're doing, if you're devoted to Catholic education, then by all means, we have to be consistent with what we're doing. That is why the devotion of the earliest community in Jerusalem is something for us to learn. They devoted themselves to the teaching of the apostles. They devoted themselves to the breaking of the bread. They devoted themselves to fellowship. They devoted themselves to prayer. In short, what? They've been very consistent. They're committed. And I think this is what excellence is. Excellence is being devoted. Excellence means passion. Excellence means commitment. Commitment means we don't accept excuses. We simply want results. Let me repeat that. Commitment means we don't accept excuses. We simply want result. And that's the meaning of excellence. Because that is rooted on the very fact that we believe that is what God wants for us. Next slide, please. Allow me now to present to you the 8 defining characteristics of. Are you aware of the PCSS? Have you heard of that? No? Narinig nyo na ba yung PCSS na yan? No? So, the PCSS, Philippine Catholic School Standard, identified 8 defining characteristics. Number 1 is centered in the person and message of Jesus Christ. And how do you understand this? Every Catholic school has Jesus Christ as its foundation and inspiration. every Catholic school has Jesus Christ as its foundation and inspiration. I like the word inspiration. Inspirare. You know what that means? Sperare. Sperare means breath. Breath. Breath means life. So the life in every Catholic school is no other than Jesus. When we are convinced of this, take note, when we are convinced of this, even in the time of pandemic, life will continue. Let me repeat this. Inspirare. Inspirare means breath. Breath ha, hindi bad breath. Yung hinga na pinagmumula ng buhay. Hindi yung hinga na nakamamatay. So breath means life. So that reminds us that even in the time of pandemic where the data and the death rate is increasing, it will not be it will not be the same for Catholic school. Life will continue in Catholic school because when we speak of life, then we speak of Jesus. That is why the purpose and the motivation in every Catholic school is a living encounter with Jesus and his message. I think the next talk that will be given by Dr. Pilar would highlight the word encounter. Alam niyo ba yung encounter, encuentro? Encuentro. Many of us would not understand reading that word encuentro. Siguro yung encuentro ng NPA at ng national mga police, no? In every encounter, there is one that emerged as a winner. Encuentro. And you know, when we speak of an encounter that will take place in every Catholic school, in that encounter, the one that surfaces, the one that emerged as winner is no other than Jesus. When we encounter Jesus, then by all means, we become Jesus as well. That means the person of Jesus have embraced the very person we are. Dumating na ba sa punto na sasabihin sa'yo, alam mo, napakabait mo. No? Napakabait mo. Katulad ka ni Jesus. Parang wala namang nagsabi pa sa atin na gano'n, no? But, you know, that's the end point of an encounter. That is why later on you would understand, we don't just simply form good men and women. Every Catholic school forms individuals to become a Christian men and women. Not only good, but the Christian men and women. Because that is the result of an encounter. The next defining characteristic is participating in the evangelizing mission of the church. Siguro naman lahat naman na Catholic schools may mga savings. Sabihin nyo nga, savings. Lakasan nyo, savings. Natatakot ba kayo na ilabas yung savings? Baka maubos. No? You know, I was talking to my brother. My brother is also a priest. No? Usap kami, sabi ko, how are we able to survive? Sabi ng kapatid ko, do not worry. That's the purpose of savings. Previous years, the Lord already prepared us. I always believe that to all administrators who are with me now, the Lord, we may be unconscious of this, but the Lord already prepared us for this pandemic. The Lord prepared us for this pandemic. May mga savings, sister, di ba? Father, may mga savings, gastusin. No? Spend that. No? Sometimes, no, we try to project. Hindi, we should not spend that much. No? Baka lumiit yung savings eh. So, yung budget palagi, yun lang budget for the year. But let's not forget, participating in the evangelizing mission of the church. How do we understand this? Education is an essential element of evangelization. So if that is an essential, then by all means, let's not stop evangelizing. Let's not close our schools. Let's continue to operate even in hard times. Let's make use of our resources. Whatever resources we have, let's make use of it for evangelization. Mga sisters, huwag matakot po. May mga savings naman, di ba? Yun ang purpose siguro ng savings, preparing us for this pandemic. And mind you, this pandemic will not only be for 1 year, it can be for 2 school years. And this year becomes a testing ground for us, preparing us for another year. For another year. Unknowingly, God prepares us in many ways. No? God prepares us in many ways. The third defining characteristic would be animated by the spirit of communion. Every Catholic school rooted in the church, as communio, provide an experience of Christian community. I've been very vocal about this, no? The Christian experience. Ang tanong ngayon ay, ano ang mangyayari sa mga personal natin pag wala tayong mga enrollees? What shall we do? Do we have to let go of them? Do we have to let go of them? No? I talk with the school community. Sabi ko, all of us should survive. Hindi pwedeng silang mag-survive, yung iba hindi. No? All of us should survive. If you are an administrator, ang tanong, sino ang ititira mo? Yung matatanda na hindi na techie, but had been with you for many years? Or you opt to retain the young ones who are very techie, and by all means, their skills will be utilized for this school year. How do you now strike a balance? No? How would you make that communion really work? Take note, when we speak of spirit of communion, it is distinguished by collaboration, co-responsibility, and solidarity. Engaging parents, alumni in meaningful partnership to make Catholic education responsive. I think it's high time now, no? I think administrators would simply have to talk with their teachers. Alam nyo, I'm so blessed with my fellow administrators when this pandemic started, no? When World Health Organization declared COVID-19 as pandemic. What I did, I called all the finance officers. Sabi ko, how much do we have? How much do we need for us to be able to survive for 1 school year? Hindi ko sasabihin yung figure, secret, no? Sabi ko sa finance officers, if we need that amount to survive for 1 year, can our resources be enough? Sabi ng mga finance officers, Father, pwede naman, may matitira pang konti. Sabi ko, go. No? Pero sabi ng isang finance officer, Father, but you know, Father, it will be a great help if all the administrators will make a sacrifice. Alisin na lang, Father, ibalik na lang kami, Father, sa basic. Sabi ko, talaga? So all those, the administrators of the schools I'm working with, nag-volunteer sila. They don't get honorarium. They just receive the basic pay. No? Pwede naman pala pa nag-uusap eh. No? The spirit of communion becomes real when there is a communication. The finance officers also are discussing matters with the parents. Communio also means communication. No? Communio means to communicate properly. No? Well, I have asked the help of alumni. Sagip. I make a video entitled Sagip. No? So, a lot of alumni are giving their pledges. Yung isa nga, Father, ang kaya ko lang po 1,000. Sabi ko, well, Maliit, malaki, that means a lot for us. No? That's being in communion with the school that has made you who you are today. No? The fourth is established as an ecclesial institution. The Catholic school embodies the living tradition of the church. No? No Catholic school should be separated from the church. No? Baka wag naman nating kalimutan yung mga katabi nating parokya, baka wala na rin silang income, no? And maybe as part of being one with them, then how can we help them as well, no? There are no masses, no? The Catholic school should think and act with the church. The Catholic school should think and act with the church, and that's for all. I would always say that if we are together, we are very strong. You know the secret why we are not strong? Because we are divided. We are divided. No? If only we are together, whatever pandemic would it be, we can always face it, no? Because we are together. And I think when Catholic schools are established as an ecclesial institution, the Catholic school should always think and act with the church. Think and act with the church. Kaya ba yun, no? Kaya ba yun, no? So, well, recently we have issues like the anti-terror bill, no? I think we are together in this issue. But I think it's not simply regarding a certain issue, but we should always think and act with the church. And that's how we have to train our students as well. Number 5, next slide, please. Distinguished by a culture of excellence. That's something that can easily be understood. No? Number 6, we have committed to integral human formation. But I would like to highlight number 5, distinguished by a culture of excellence. You know, the culture of excellence here is you transform the logic of excellence into concrete. I attended before this webinar, kasama ko yung mga pare, no? So we started with a prayer. And I recall the reading for the midday prayer. Nakalagay doon, love is not something that is said, but love is not something that is done. I think, let me repeat that. Love is not something that is said, but love is something that is done. No? I think the culture of excellence now would tell us that when we speak of loving is concrete. And it has been enumerated when we speak of excellence here, the passion for truth, commitment to service, caring for others, forming minds and hearts that are open to communion and solidarity. But take note, love is not something that is said. It is always something that is done. I think that's what culture, what we mean when we speak of the culture of excellence. No? Committed to integral formation. Catholic school is intentionally directed to the formation of the whole person. No? When we speak of that, of the whole person, it means integral formation fosters education for justice, peace, care for creation, gender sensitivity, responsible use of media, and many others. Before the webinar, I was with my brother priest, and nagtatanong daw yung iba when CBCP made a statement, and there were some of our parishioners who were asking, bakit naman nakikialam ang simbahan? No? Bakit naman nakikialam ang simbahan? And so Bishop Broderick told us, I think it's high time now that we have to educate our people that when we speak of being church does not simply mean going to mass, but being church means to say we have to be involved in the community. So we have to protect the rights of individuals. We have to take good care of our people. Next slide, please. So contemplating. So the purpose now of Catholic ministry is not the evangelization of individuals alone, but the building of faith communities which individuals are supported and encouraged to grow as disciples of Jesus Christ. A while ago, sabi natin, yung Catholic schools, sila yung one of the many ways of the church to evangelize. But let us not forget, it is not simply evangelization, but more than which, it is building and forming faith communities. Faith communities. Alam niyo ang kulang natin, no? I was so blessed, no? The first time I attended a born again worship. Huwag naman kayong magalit sa akin na pag sinabi ko ha. Baka sabihin, pari ka pa naman, no? I was in the States, and then I visited a friend, and it was a Sunday, and my friend said, Father, it's Sunday, what shall we do? Sabi ko, I'll go to the church, I'll find a way where I can celebrate the Mass. Sabi niya, Father, would you like to try? Join me in my born again worship. I said, are you crazy? Sabi niya, Father, just try it. Sabi ko, well, I'll do it, but make an agreement. First, you go with me. Sabi niya, Father, where would you want to celebrate your Mass? Sabi ko, I want to go to St. Patrick's Cathedral where I can celebrate the Mass. Sabi niya, Father, medyo malayo yon. Sumama ka muna sa akin, Father. Mag-worship muna tayo sa amin. Pagkatapos, ihahatid kita doon. Sabi ko, patay ka. Sabi ko, no. Ihatid mo muna ako. After that, samahan kita. Sabi niya, Father, ako na muna mauna kasi out of the way yon. Sabi ko, siguraduhin mo ha, na isasama, ibabalik mo ako doon ha. Oh, Father, promise. You trust me, Father. So, you know where we went? We went to the Brooklyn Church. Brooklyn Born-Again Christian Church. Ay, grabe. 3-story siya. Pag nasa labas kami, excited siya. Ako naman, takot na takot. Sabi ko, baka may makakita sa akin dito. Nakaganito ako. Naka-clerical ako. And then, pagpasok namin, nasa pintuan kami. Sabi sa amin ng usherette, Brothers, we are so happy to welcome you. Ganon na expression. We are so happy to welcome you. You know, hindi lang sa words, you really feel the connection. Iba kasi yung, we're so happy. Kahit magsigaw-sigaw ako dito na, Oy, I love you. You know, whether it's simply words or not, no? Ang ginawa ko, sabi ko, oh, hello. Tapos sabi sa amin, oh, brothers, we are so sorry to tell you that there are no more vacant seats. But there are reserved seats in front. That is reserved for those who will be baptized this Sunday. But you can occupy those seats, brother. Sabi ng kasama ko, Father, maganda yun. Nasa harapan tayo, Father. Mapapakinggan mo, Father. Ang galing-galing nila, Father, kumanta. Umupo ako sa harapan, kasama ko siya. No? Kumakanta sila sabay-sabay. Wow. No? Alam mo yung worship nila lasted for 2 hours. Pero wala akong nakitang nainip. You know, after even the worship, sabi ng MC, brothers and sisters, please vacate the place now. Please vacate the place now. A lot of people are waiting outside. They're queuing outside for the next service. Please, 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 please. Sila usap ng usap, kwentuhan. You know, you feel the belongingness, no? You feel the belongingness. I think this is what I mean when I speak of building faith communities, no? Intentional faith communities. Ito pa, something for us to learn. So, yung pastor stood up and opened the Bible. The pastor said, I have a good news for all of you today. The good news comes from Jesus. Palakpakan sila. And then after which the pastor proclaimed the gospel and gave a few reflections, palakpakan sila. Like, ang ganda pala ito, pinapalakpakan, no? Sa atin, hindi naman pinapalakpakan eh. No? At ito yung maganda. Binyag. Huwag niyo ikikwento sa iba to, ha? Secret lang natin to, ha? Baka ma-excommunicate ako. Hindi naman ako bininyagan. So when it was time for baptism, sabi ng pastor, I would like to present to you new members of our community. They're seated in the first 3 rows. We welcome them with a round Ay, Diyos ko, palakpakan sila. Yung katabi kong kaibigan ko, tuwan-tuwa siya niya, Father, tayo na tayo. Sabi ko, loko ka? Ba't ako tatayo? So, tayo. So, tapos sabi ng pastor, we would like to request you to please come up the stage so that you will be recognized by our community. Yung kaibigan ko, hinawakan ko yung kamay at paa. Hindi ko siya pinatayo kasi mag-isa lang ako doon. So dalawa na lang kami natira. Lahat umakyat sa stage. Tapos natira kaming dalawa. Sabi ng pastor, "Oh, we cannot start unless the two of you would come and join us. We are so excited." Sabi ng kasama ko, "Father, tayo na tayo." Sabi, "Hindi. Huwag mong gagawin yan. Pari ako, tandaan mo, pari ako." So ang ginawa ng pastor, meron siyang usher na pinapunta, nilapitan kami. Sabi sa amin, "Oh, we cannot start unless you, both of you, would come up the stage. We're so excited. No, your new face is here. We're so excited." Sabi ko sa usheret, pakisabi sa pastor nyo, Catholic priest po ako. I'm just here to accompany a friend who is seated beside me. Saka lang kami tinantanan. No, tinantanan. So after that, no, but you really feel the community spirit, no? I think this is what I mean when I speak of the intentional faith community. Every Catholic school should really have that intentional faith community. Kaya ba yon? Kaya ba yon? Sa atin naman, hi-hello lang kung minsan eh. No? Hi-hello lang. Of course, there is an expression of being a community. We give donations. But it's more than that. No, it's more than that. For example, a school principal, the role of a school principal is to create a faith-based community among his faculty. Diba? Galing yun, ha? Naalala ko pa si Cardinal Sinoon, sabi ni Cardinal sa amin, lahat daw ng principal dapat maging catechist. Because when a principal is a catechist, then a principal now becomes a community builder. A community builder. Kaya ba yon? Next slide, please. No? Next slide, please. No? Kaya ba natin yon sa mga eskwelahan natin? Kasi sabi ko, ito siguro yung sekreto na pwedeng gawin natin na we should be able to establish community, faith-based community in our own respective schools. Ito yung panahon para ipakita natin na we are community. Yung mga hindi pa nag-enroll, tawagan ninyo. Yung alam nyo hindi kaya magbayad, offer scholarship, no? Kaya ba yon? Yung iba lumalaki ang mga mata. Sabi, ikaw na lang, Father, baka marami kang savings. But if you are convinced of the Catholic education, then by all means, you will not give it up. You will not give it up amid the difficulties that we are going through. Alam nyo, nakakatakot ha. Sana tandaan nyo ito. A sociologist, Andrew Greedy, described Catholic schools in the U.S. as seeming to be entering a twilight. Entering a twilight, not facing an immediate extinction, but sleeping slowly in darkness. Let me repeat that. Tayo na mga Catholic schools, sabi, we are entering into a twilight. Ano sa Tagalog yung twilight? Twilight, dapit hapon. Ibig sabihin, malapit ka ng lumipas. Ibig sabihin, final. Remember, we started with the final time, the words of Michael O. Doherty. No? We are entering into a twilight. Sabi, entering into a twilight, but not facing immediate extinction. Hindi pa naman daw. But sleeping slowly in darkness. Sleeping slowly in darkness. Ano gagawin natin? Tanggapin na lang natin yon. We are entering into a twilight. We will not be extinct after 1 year, but maybe after 2 or 3 years. No? We have here words from Pope Francis. Sabi ni Pope Francis, if you allow doubts and tears to dampen your spirit, Instead of becoming creative, we will remain comfortable and make no progress whatsoever. We become mere onlookers as the church gradually stagnates. Yung sinabi ng sociologist na yon, is that the present state of your school? Is that the present state of your school? Sabi ni Pope Francis, if we allow doubts and fears to dampen our courage instead of being creative, we will remain comfortable and make no progress whatsoever. We became onlookers as the church gradually stagnates. What feeling does this statement evoke in you as Catholic educators? Okay lang ba? Okay lang ba sa inyo? Sabi ko, Yoko, laban. Sabi ko, laban lang. No? So brought about by this, meron siguro tayong dapat matutunan. No? So, next slide, please. I would like to propose to you a framework of relationship in building communities. Yung una, yung self. Catholic school is to help students become fully alive in their mind, heart, body, and spirit. But more than which, what is highlighted here is the fact that every student, the focus is not one dimension, but to bring the whole self into a relationship with God. So dapat sa eskwelahan natin, maturuan natin ang ating mga kabataan na magkaroon ng maayos na relasyon sa Diyos. And you know, for me, this is prayer. Prayer is relationship. Prayer is not reciting. Forget about recitation. Forget about memory. No? Prayer is relating to God. Eh bakit yung iba, napakagaling magdasal? No? Ang kwento sa akin ng kaibigan ko, pag nagdadasal daw, kinikwento lahat ng nangyari sa the whole day. Kaya bago sila kumain, napakahaba. No? Dear God, you know, I went to this and I had transaction and thank you for guiding me and I was able to close that deal and so I'm so blessed and I would like to share this blessing to all of you. Very spontaneous. It's very personal. No? For me, the first, yung self, how we build communities. No? First, the self relating to God. No? So all of us should be taught that way. Hindi naman masama yung mga memorized prayers, but I hope that when we have a relationship with God, then we can be very spontaneous. And I'm looking forward that all of us in the Catholic system, time will come, we give our students ways to become spontaneous in terms of dealing with God. No? Spontaneous in terms of praying. No? So that's one thing that we can do. So pangalawa, God. Catholic school should transform a person of virtue into a person of Christ. Sabi ko nga, let's always have this mindset. We don't just train students to become good citizens, no? But we train them to become Christian citizens. We don't just train them to become good persons, but Christian persons. We don't just train them to become good men and women, but we train them to become good men and Christian men and women. Kaya nga, mahalaga yung pangatlo, relationship with others. No? Being able to reach out and embrace others differently, but more importantly, what is being highlighted here in terms of others, the teacher-student relationship. The teacher and student's relationship. Ngayon, para ang inuutusan ko ngayon yung mga advisor, tawagan nyo na ang mga estudyante nyo, kamustahin nyo. Kamustahin nyo sila. No? Mag-i-enroll ba sila o hindi? No? Ang sagot ng mga teacher, Father, natatakot daw sila. Pero Father, don't worry, Father. Na-convince ko na sila. I told them, I assure you that the school is ready and prepared. No? I have been making announcement, assuring them. Pero yung mga teacher, when they make an announcement to their students, tapos ang usapan. No? So, in the document of the church, it says here that the teacher should be able to establish a good relation with their students. No, when students and teachers have good relation, no, ang tawag daw dito, an intimate communication between souls. No? When Catholic schools are able to take good care of their students, then by all means, it becomes an intimate communication between souls. An intimate communication between souls. No? Daming pwedeng gawin. Daming pwedeng gawin. No? So, let's not give up. Let's not give up. No? I think the battle has to continue. The battle has to continue. And let me remind you of the words of St. Paul to the Corinthians. 1 Corinthians chapter 26. It says here, consider your own call, brothers and sisters. Consider your own call, brothers and sisters. No? Matatalo ba tayo sa pandemic na ito? No way. No? No way. Are we going to close our schools? We should not. No way, by all means. Will life continues even amidst the pandemic that you're experiencing? Of course. Of course. No? Where shall we get our resources? Tandaan nyo to ha. Naniniwala ko palagi. When there is a mission, there will always be provision. When there is a mission, there will always be provision. Please take note of that. Because sometimes we rely too much on our hands. We rely too much on what we can do. We have forgotten that the work does not come from us. The work comes from God. No? Siya ang kumikilos, hindi po tayo. No? Huwag tayong panghinaan ng loob. Father, paano na ito? No? Every day I would receive text messages from sisters. Father, paano na ito? Ano mangyari? Ano mangyari? Kailan ba ito matatapos? Sabi ko, sister, pasensya na. Hindi pa sinasabi ni Lord kung kailan matatapos ito. Pero sabi ni Lord, magpatuloy lang tayo sa ginagawa natin. Huwag tayo panghinaan ng loob. No? 1 Corinthians chapter 26. Consider your own call, brothers and sisters. No? Consider your own call, brothers and sisters. Final slide. Next, please. The loss of a Catholic school is often a loss for the community. The loss of a Catholic school is often a loss for the community. And in the words of Michael Doherty, sinabi niya dito, nababasa niyo ba? I believe that the question of Catholic action is the very marrow at the present time of religious instruction, and that pupils who leave school without a deep enthusiasm for Catholic action cannot be considered to have complete Catholic education. I would like to highlight the word action. I am praying that after this talk, then we move and do something. We do something for our own respective Catholic schools. And I'm really praying that it becomes a new Pentecost for all of us. No? We ask the Lord to put fire again into our hearts. No? Eh, dapat yung mga matatanda parang feeling bata uli. No? So, we do our best. Do our best. No? After all, no, sabi ko nga, love is not a word, it's an action. Love, it's not enough to say I love Catholic education, I love Catholic schools. We do something. Amidst the pandemic that we're going through, let's not forget the words of St. Paul. Brothers and sisters, consider your own call. We have a special calling for Catholic education. A ministry not our own. I always say this, it's both a gift and a mission. And with mission comes provision. Sige na, gastusin na ang mga savings para hindi magsara ang ating mga Catholic schools. Huwag matakot maubusan, God provides. With mission comes provision. With mission comes provision. Thank you, and God morning, God afternoon, God evening. May it truly become for us a Kairos experience, knowing that the Lord is with us. He makes and invites us to make our commitment again for Catholic education. Maraming salamat po. We are open to questions.
Okay, we are back. Welcome to the question and answer portion of this webinar. And we thank Father Nolan for that very, very heartfelt input for this morning. But before we proceed, may I just remind you again that you will receive the certificate of attendance only upon completion of the evaluation form. I believe that the link is already posted in the comment section of this page. So when you look at the CEAP page, in the comment section, the very bottom of it, that's where we post the evaluation link because we always get the questions, saan po ang evaluation link? So it's at the very bottom of the comment section because it is pinned there para hindi po siya gumagalaw. So please just click the link and you will be directed to the evaluation form, which will be open until 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Okay, so only until 2 p.m. Today will you be able to access the evaluation link to get your certificate. We encourage you to answer the evaluation form and you will receive the certificate of attendance within the next days. We also invite you to continue to post your questions on the comment section of this page as we now begin our question and answer portion. There have been some questions about getting a copy of the PowerPoint presentation of Father Nolan. Yes, you will be able to access the PowerPoint slides of Father Nolan. They will be made available to you by tomorrow at the CEAP website. That is at www.ceap.org.ph, and then they will be ready for downloading. So all the materials of the past webinars are already there, and you will be able to we will be able to download them, and we will also upload the one used by Father Nolan today. In the meantime, the other videos of the past webinars could also be found there, as well as in our video archive in our Facebook page and in the CAP channel of our YouTube. Okay. So let's go to the question and answer proper. We are joined here by, of course, our very star in the Wag Kang Judgmental sa Itbulaga, no? Si Father Nolan. Our ang dami nanood sa iyo, Father. Grabe. Our
Napilitan lang ako doon.
Baka mamaya pag-usapan natin yon. And our Executive Director, Mr. Arellano. Because Mr. Arellano was also the PCSS Coordinating Council chairperson in the
Director.
past. So yeah, the director. So can we maybe we can ask Mr. Arellano first because Father Nolan mentioned the PCSS earlier, no, or the Philippine Catholic School Standards. Mr. Arellano, can you tell us a bit about, kasi maraming nanonood sa atin na hindi pa nila alam ang PCSS. So can you tell us briefly about the PCSS?
Thank you, Marianne. Just to put a little context to PCSS, and I'm so happy that Father highlighted the defining characteristics of the PCSS, and he actually explained them very well. Ang PCSS ay major program ng CAP. We partnered with the Phoenix Educational Foundation. This is a document on quality assurance on Catholicity. It started in 2013 with the Superintendent's Commission taking the lead on putting together uh, a team to work on the standards of the Philippine Catholic School standards, even doing research in the United States because they have similar documents in the States. And we launched this to coincide with our 75th year, yung SEOP 75 natin in 2016. So, kasama itong PCSS. Hanggang ngayon, programa pa natin ito. And this year, the board decided to make a commission out of the committee. It's now a commission of the CAP. Now, it's being strengthened because as we roll this out the last 4 years, more and more schools are getting the orientation, are getting trained on how to implement the Philippine Catholic School standard so that schools will look deeper into themselves as Catholic institutions. So kung nakinig kay Father, yun yung mga sinabi niya, yun yung mga essential attributes, yun yung mga qualities. Kung wala yun, hindi ko pwedeng tawagin ang school na Catholic institution. So yung mga defining characteristics. So thank you, Father Nolan, for that.
So this is a self-evaluation tool, right? It's a self-evaluation tool. So hindi tayo
Hindi
huhusgahan
accreditation
kahit
standard yan.
Oo. So tayo ang mag-evaluate ng sa sarili
Hindi dapat
natin.
katakutan.
Oo. Okay, Father Nolan, there are some comments here. Thank you for your unending love for Catholic schools and its mission from Gracia Gegaho. And then from Dr. Loretta Castro of Miriam College, glad I listened to this talk. Very good and enlightening ideas. Have compassion and genuine love for the students and the whole community. Father Jun Estoque, this webinar takes another level. More than all the preparations we are undertaking, spiritual preparation is needed. Okay, so first question from Adi Isidro. Napaka-active ng ating NCFC core. No? So shout out to all the NCFC core members who are watching. Father Jun from Kabangkalan, Adi from Miriam, Mars Bello, Cholo Santos, Doc Pilar, and Kite Santos. Shout out to all of you. Father Nolan, what is your recommendation po for Catholic schools for the care of employees, both teaching and non-teaching? Parang yun kasi sila affected daw masyado ngayon, Father. So ano yung inyong recommendation?
Mayan, ulit, di ko narinig. Tanong.
What's your recommendation for Catholic schools? Yeah. Father, can you hear me? What is your recommendation for Catholic schools on the care of employees, both the teaching and the non-teaching in this time of pandemic?
Okay.
So, kasi you mentioned about students, di ba?
Correct. Okay. Very, very important for the administration to really lay down cards with their employees. And the basic principle will always be everybody should survive. Hindi pwede kasi na ito lang ang kailangan namin yung mga teachers lang, ang NTP hindi. No. It's not a very good statement to start with the dialogue. Everybody is needed. Everybody is important. Pandemic is temporary. When pandemic is temporary, you give importance to everyone. No? So walang pwedeng maisang tabi. So, well, this is what I did, no? Just for everybody to know. What I've been very open in terms of communicate to our employees. Sinabi ko sa kanila, we all have to survive. And what are the ways to which we can survive? So nag-usap-usap kami. So I got their suggestion. So unang suggestion, sabi ko, ang NTP, paano makakasurvive ang eskwelahan kung konti employees, ang NTP walang gagawin. You know what what some of our NTPs did? They voluntarily resigned. Yeah. They voluntarily resigned. And they asked me, Father, can you also help us in return? Sabi ko, sige, we can give you the benefits. No? So binigyan namin sila. And sabi nila, Father, sabi ko, pakatapos mag-voluntary resign, binigyan namin sila. Father, pwede bang pangakuan nyo rin kami na pag naging okay na, tanggapin nyo uli kami? Sabi ko, walang problema. Walang problema. So, in all honesty, I'm very proud of the school I'm working with now. I never had any difficulty in terms of communicating and asking and implementing policy that can help all of us survive. Sabi ko kasi, basically, you have to understand, the school cannot sustain paying all of you. So sabi nila, sige Father, naintindihan namin yon. Di naman kami kailangan ngayong taon, so magre-resign kami. Pero Father, tulungan mo kami. So we gave them capital. No? Hindi lang yon. Sabi ko, yung pagtutulungan din natatapos doon. Parte pa rin kayo ng school. So what the school did now, we formed a cooperative. Nagkaroon kami ng grocery. Lahat ng mga employees namin doon kukuha sa grocery at ang aming mga delivery boy ay ang aming mga maintenance na nag-voluntarily resign. So may trabaho pa rin sila. But for example, yung pag-aaral ng anak nila, patuloy pa rin binibigay namin. Binigyan namin HMO, healthcare for 1 year. And looking forward that after, when everything normalizes, we can take them in again. So very, very important is communication. But communications will always be founded on good relation. Good relation, no matter how you're very good in communicating, if it's not founded on a good relation that has been felt and experienced the past previous years, it will not really work. Dapat din yung mga administrators, mahalin nyo ang inyong mga nagtatrabaho sa inyo. Dahil wala naman ang eskwelahan kung wala rin sila. So give importance to everyone. I think that's one lesson we can all learn. If you're administrator or having difficulty nowadays in terms of communicating this matter, which is very, very important, siguro previous years, hindi nagkaroon ng magandang relation. Of course, I'm not accusing anybody. I'm not saying that I have been very good in this matter. But for me, something that is very important is really to establish good relations. So hindi naging mahirap pag may relasyon at maayos na relasyon.
Yeah, thank you. So that goes for in the same way, no? Kasi may follow-up question dito galing kay Father June. Can you share an additional insight to encourage our teachers to remain in their mission despite the low morale due to low enrollment rate at this time? So ganun din 'yon. Father, communication din ang dapat nating yan.
But you know, the work of getting students will not be only the task of one or two. It has to be the task of the whole community. Alam nyo, very important dito, maipakita natin yung partnership with parents. If you already have established a partnership with parents, hindi rin magiging mahirap. So I had Zoom meeting with parents. Ang dami, alam nyo kung ang pinagdaanan ko sa mga magulang, sabi sa akin, Father, babaan nyo na yung mga tuition. Father, ganito naman. Ganon sila magsalita at mga taga-tondo eh. Ganon. Sabi ko, hinay-hinay lang. Galit ba kayo sa akin? Father, hindi naman kami galit, Father. Pero Father, sana iintindihan yung pinagdadaanan namin. Sabi ko, naiintindihan ko yan. Sana naiintindihan nyo rin ang pinagdadaanan ko. So, mag-usap tayo. So, pag-uusap talaga. So, medyo, kaya nga, tinatak na namin this week yung 60%. Then I've been praying and asking the Lord, Lord, it may be a slow growth every day, but I look forward that the growth become constant and consistent in the same way that our commitment for Catholic education remains to be very consistent until today because you supply us with your grace. No? So, slow growth, 2% every day, but it means a lot for all of us. Sabi ko nga, maganda ngayon dahil bawat estudyante mahalaga na sa atin. May nagtatanong sa akin, dati taon-taon, may mga kinikick out din tayong eskwelahan. Under the guise, sasabihin mo, the school is no longer a good environment. The school ngayon, sige nga, mag-kick out kayo, subukan nyo. Sige, subukan nyo. So, ngayon, di nyo nagagawin yan. Lahat pinapahalagahan ngayon. And I hope it becomes a learning for us. It becomes a new normal for us that from now on, brought about by this experience, papahalagahan natin ang bawat isa na parte ng ating mga Catholic schools.
Okay. This next question, actually, maybe Mr. Arellano can answer this also. No, they're asking about if CAP monitors the compliance to the PCSS and why is there a need for PAASCO daw if you already have the PCSS? Would you like to clarify, Mr. Arellano, regarding the PCSS and PAASCO? And
Una, we would like to encourage people to use the PCSS, but we do not have a monitoring system. We provide them trainers. We allow them orientation sessions. We provide them resource materials if they need so, but we do not really monitor unless they want us to be there and they want us to visit. So the commission will allow them to have that visit. Ang PCSS is not in parallel with the PAASCO. Kasi ang PAASCO quality assurance on a lot. Tayo kasi on Catholicity, that's what we're checking. Are we excellent Catholic institutions? So these are our standards. So these are the benchmarks, and then we prepare how we measure it through our own introspection. Tingnan natin sa sarili natin. So gumawa tayo ng rubric kung totoong ginagawa natin yung nakalagay sa defining characteristics, itong vision natin. So nasa atin yon. So Pasko is different. No? So hindi pwedeng ano yon. External yon eh. Sa atin internal ang PCSS.
Ours is self-assessment. No?
Yes.
Self-assessment yun. No? Thank you, Mr. Arellano. Meron ding follow-up question dito again, Mr. Arellano. CEAP considered lobbying for government subsidy for elementary level.
We have been doing advocacy work with Cocopea, with the other associations. Meron ng ginagawang move dyan ang Cocopea, kasama si Attorney Erap, si Miss Doris ng PAC. So meron na tayong mga meetings sa mga congressmen, nakikipag-usap sila sa mga senator. Kaya lang nga, nung nagkaroon ng pandemic, ang nangyari, kailangan i-fund ang proyektong related sa mga ayuda. Kung paano gagawin yung mga tulong sa hospital, frontliners. So nakabinbin lahat yung mga proposals natin, yung mga hearings na yon. Pero hindi tayo natutulog dyan. Ang Cocopea ay laging gumagawa ng paraan para ma-improve natin yon. Kasi nga, doon pa yan eh. Feedback na yan over the years. Bakit ang high school merong support? Bakit ang grade school, ang elementary, walang ganong klaseng support?
Okay, thank you, Mr. Arellano. Father Nolan, ito medyo masakit yata ito sa kanya. So we received this not in the comment section. This person wishes to remain anonymous. It was sent through the messenger. Not all schools are able to respond immediately to the needs of the new normal in the school setting. Admittedly, ours is one of them. And until now, we are in chaos, especially because on the 24th, so on Friday, names of those who will be retrenched will be announced. So, Father Nolan, what can you advise now? One aspect is the well-being of the faculty and their mental and spiritual health in the midst of all these hurtful things that are happening. Maybe you can say something?
Una-una, I always say this to everyone, especially for us administrators. The best thing to do is always to share. Kasi I may have a good practice, you may have a good practice. Any good thing that we have, let's share it to one another. I hope that every Catholic school becomes a sharing community. So I don't just focus on my school. Ang labanan kasi ngayon, Alan and Marian, hindi my school. Ang labanan ngayon is Catholic school. I hope the pandemic will really change all of us. The new normal now is not my school, not my congregational school, not my parish school, but ang labanan ngayon is Catholic school. We speak of Catholic education. If all administrators would have this change of mind, magiging iba. Kasi we will be able to learn from one another. Halimbawa, may na-discover ako, Alan and Marian, na funding institution, di ba? I will not keep it on my own. I have to share it with you, di ba? If there is a technique that I have discovered and it has been working in my school, I will share it with you. I don't keep it on my own. Sharing it does not mean that I lose it. Sharing does not mean that you become better than me. No. When something is shared, then the system becomes better. I'm really praying that all of us really in the Catholic system becomes a sharing community.
Inclusive growth, ano, Father?
Inclusive sana lahat.
Oo.
Kaya nga, ang nangyayari, hindi, kanya-kanya pa rin tayo. So, my thought on that, no, I feel bad about it, no? Hindi ako magiging masaya sa ganong sitwasyon. Pero sana napaghandaan din, naihanda ang lahat, no? Because, masakit para sa akin, no?
Yeah, maybe you can also
if only I can. That's why this morning, every day, I join the prayers of all our schools. We have 6 schools. Thanks to the technology, I'm able to join their prayers every day. Ang announcement ko sa kanila ganito. Sabi ko, I would like to present you the graph of enrollment. So based on the current number of our teachers now, so kita ko naman na we'll be able to keep all of them. Pero sabi ko sa kanila, I don't just want to keep the teachers that we have, but I want to save other teachers that may be part of the system who may be losing their job brought about by the less turnout of enrollment. Sabi ko, ipagdasal nyo, magdasal tayo, that we will be instrument of saving others. Ibig sabihin, dumami tayo para mas lalo pa tayo makatulong na mailigtas yung mga posible pang
Hello, Father? Ayan. Father, can you repeat what you
Mary
said?
Ann.
Yeah, can you repeat what you said,
Nagkaroon
Father?
ng technical,
Medyo nag-technical. Nagbaliktad nga kayo sa screen eh. Naging
Bigla ako nasa gitna.
No,
Okay
pag
na
may
ba ako?
live, ganyan
Okay.
nangyayari.
yeah. We can hear
Ayan.
you now. Yes,
You're
Father.
back.
Can you please continue? Sorry for the technical difficulties.
Sabi ko, I feel bad about it, no? Pero sabi ko sa mga teachers namin sa cluster schools, magtrabaho pa tayo. We pray hard, we work hard to get good number of enrollees para we'll be able to save other teachers who may not be part of our schools, but we can get other teachers that belong to other schools para matulungan natin. So, ang advocacy ko ngayon, saving teachers. Saving teachers. Saving
Hashtag
Catholic.
saving teacher.
Yeah. So,
Ganda yan, Father.
gawin natin yun ang advocacy ko. So, Lord, you bless our effort, and that's a commitment, Lord. We would like to save other teachers who have the possibility of losing their job. Sabi ko nga rin, advocacy ko not only teachers but even non-teaching staff, no?
Yeah,
So,
actually,
Lord,
there's a question here, no, related to that, and maybe Mr. Arellano, you can jump in because it's really in the context of CAP that Doy Fuerzas is asking this. The CAP monitor how many Catholic school employees are struggling now with their employment, both teachers and non-teachers. Yeah.
Hindi naman really monitoring, no? But we have asked our schools to through surveys, because the House of Representatives, Congress, have also been asking us, yung Senate tsaka lower house, they've been asking us to submit to them para nga maisama sa kasakali doon sa kanilang mga pinag-uusapan. And the COCOPEA has also been at the forefront of that issue. So nalalaman natin yan because the school heads are reporting to the surveys that we send.
Okay.
So pinipilit natin na mailagay sa agenda ng government ang support sa private education.
Yes, very important. Father Nolan, so when you mentioned that your advocacy now is hashtag save the teachers, how will those who are watching us right now, if they want to communicate with you, how will they do that para ma-save sila?
alam niyo naman ang aking FB. so you can send messages to my FB and FB account, no? So pero maganda pa rin makipag-usap kayo ng maayos sa inyong administrator.
So communication talaga, no?
Things can be settled and learn to trust one another. Kasi mahirap mag-communicate kung wala kayong tiwala sa bawat isa. I hope that's very basic in communication. Sana magtiwala sa bawat isa, no? By the way, baka makalimutan ko. Dapat pala, kamustahin ko si Sister Jo Ocasio. Sister Jo Ocasio is from St. Paul, Iloilo. And she is a very good friend. And,
is she watching right now? Hi, Sister
yes.
Jo.
Hi, Sister.
Hi, Sister Jo. Talagang special mention.
Special mention, Sister. Bayad na ako, Sister. Ha? And also to the people that have been helping me in the cloister. I'm staying in a cloister. No? Formerly, nakatira dito mga madre, Dominican sisters. No? So, ngayon ako na nakatira. Pero hindi ako madre, ha? Pare ako. No? So, I have with me Father Nick, Father Ed, also the brothers. I have with me Christian.
May community kayo dyan, Father.
Oo, Kenneth, and then Chino. Ito yung mga hinahanda akong bumalik ulit sa seminaryo para maging pag naging pare sila, they also involve themselves in Catholic education. No?
Sana magtagumpay kayo, Father.
Oo, magaling yan ang enroll ni Father Vocation.
Para madagdagan tayo ng mga
ito, Father, there's a question here, no? Maybe on Catholic identity from Marianito Tan. Why is it that other Catholic schools allow non-Catholic teachers to teach in the institution? Will it not bring about confusion on the directional faith? that we would like to instill in our predominantly Catholic students? And a follow-up question that we can attach to that is, what care or formation can we give to our employees who are not Catholic?
Okay. Basically, sa basic ed, correct me if I'm wrong, Mary Ann, and then Alan Arellano, we have a strict, no? We have a policy that we only accept Catholics to be part of the basic ed. Am I correct? Because that is our policy in all our KMES schools. Hindi kami tumatanggap ng hindi Katoliko. Bakit? Kasi yung mga bata tinuturuan pa lang. Di ba? There was an instance, may nakalusot eh. So when she was interviewed, sabi niya Catholic daw siya, etc., etc. But in terms of praxis, we discover it. Nag-report yung isang estudyante. Sabi niya, Father Nolan, bakit po yung teacher namin hindi po siya nag-sign of the cross? Nakita ng bata. Sabi ko, are you sure? Sabi ng bata, yes, Father. So tinawag ko yung teacher. Sabi ko, it was noticed that during prayer time, you don't make the sign of the cross. May I know the reason why? Inamin ng teacher sa akin, Father, sorry po, hindi po ako nagsabi ng totoo. Hindi po ako Katoliko. I belong to this Christian group. Sabi ko sa kanya, I hope you don't misinterpret my action of talking to you now. Sabi ko, we are in the basic ed, and for basic education, witnessing is very important. Because that's part of teaching, no? So sabi ko sa kanya, hindi pwede na magpatuloy ka sa amin tapos iba naman pala ang reliyon mo kaysa tinuturo namin sa mga bata. So, yung teacher naman sabi niya, Father, naiintindihan ko po. Sorry, Father. Magre-resign na po ako, Father. sabi ko, ang galing-galing pa naman ang teacher na ito. Magre-resign. Pero syempre, hindi ko pwedeng ipagpatuloy yon because we are in the basic ed. I suppose in the tertiary level, that's where we allow even those who are not Catholic to teach at the tertiary level. The reason why, yung mga bata na hubog na yan. Yung mga bata, hindi mo na yan pwedeng goyo-goyohin, no? Naturuan na yan sa basic ed, no? So, I think that's the policy we have. Correct me if I'm wrong, because that's what I know, and that's what the policy we implement in our school system.
Mr. Arellano, would you like to?
Sa ibang Catholic schools natin, especially doon sa mga lugar na predominated by non-Catholics, meron silang kakaibang policy tungkol dito, no? Marami tayong eskwelahan na Notre Dame ang pangalan, na halos majority ng estudyante nila Muslims at saka sa ibang religious groups, no? So ang faculty nila parang ganoon din ang mix. So meron sila ibang programa para sa estudyante ng Catholic, meron sila ibang programa para sa estudyante ng Muslims. So malinaw yung ugnayan ng faculty na Muslim sa faculty na Katoliko. So kasama sa nila yung witnessing. Basta ang paraan ng pamumuhay ay Katoliko, mga paraan ng mga standards ay Catholic. No? Pero walang pilitan ng paglipat ng relihiyon. Basta malinaw yung ugnayan, malinaw yung komunikasyon sa kanila. Kasi yun ang hinigi ng konteksto nila.
Yun ang sinasabi ni Alan, special cases. Yun, for example, we have Catholic schools doing mission in non-Catholic areas. Sa Mindanao, yun. Pero in a normal setting, sa basic ed talaga, dapat Katoliko para yung pagtuturo witnessing talagang tugmang-tugma sa ginagawa at tinuturo.
Kasi gaya nga nitong sabi ni Mars Bello dito, I strongly agree with Father Nolan. Gospel message should be proclaimed across the curriculum. It is not solely the work of the CL teacher. So every teacher is a catechist, no, Father Nolan?
Yes.
School. That's why we have to, May mga comments dito, Father, no? They were saying something about praying together. So, from Novelia Camba, if Manila Cathedral every Wednesday have the Healing Rosary for the World, hosted by the different dioceses, why not CEAP do so by CEAP Rosary for Schools, hosted by different school associations like here in the Diocese of Iba, the ACSDI. Hopefully, this will materialize.
Maganda yun.
Yeah.
we can initiate it, but let's not forget also individual schools, they also have, no? So wag natin kalilimutan, lahat ng mga eskwelahan, they have praying sessions every day, I suppose, no? No?
Mhm.
So,
So
but
we can have a menu of options siguro, no? What you
yes,
can do for your school, ganyan. And then we can have one for the entire
Yeah.
CEAP.
yeah,
Mr.
definitely.
Oh,
Arellano?
that,
Yeah.
maganda
Maganda
yun.
yan.
Okay. So what else? Let me read some of the mga message of support. Sending our children in a Catholic school is really an investment with 100% profit in the spirituality of our children. That's from Lydia Lalio. From Judith Aldaba, thank you for this session. It is refreshing to review the reason for our being Catholics. This one. From Arlene Bueno. In the context of collaboration among Catholic schools, do we have a network of teachers for the purpose of sharing of resources, like for online distance learning and the purpose of for the common good, especially during this pandemic? Mr. Arellano, Father Nolan?
I
Mayroon ba
think
tayo?
I think that's one thing also that can be done in the basic ed
Mhm.
commission, di ba? Pero
Okay.
we have an agreement because I belong to the MAPSA group. MAPSA is an association of all the parochial schools. Nag-usap-usap kami doon per diocese. And I'm in charge of the principal's commission. No? Ang naging problema doon, yung paggawa ng module. Hindi naman daw lahat kayang gumawa ng module because when you make a module, parang you are designing, no? You are designer of the curriculum. So ang
Correct.
usapan namin doon, lahat ng diocese gagawa ng kanya-kanyang module. Tapos i-share namin 'yon. So for example, in the MAPS Association, we are composed of 9 dioceses. So every diocese will have 9 set of modules.
Okay. But that's only
So
for MAPSA. Can
MAP,
that be tapped by
Arkham.
others outside the MAPSA?
that was an agreement because I had the group, but I can
Mhm.
ask the permission of the association. No?
Okay.
So
And I think, Mr. Arellano, we also have something, we're also brewing a plan like
Yeah,
that.
so sa atin naman, si Father Elmer kasi talaga gusto niya magkaroon ng association of teachers din. I think isa sa iniisip niya yung resource sharing, no? So sana eventually magawa natin yon. Pero ang National Higher Education Commission, pinaplano na nila ito magkaroon ng sharing ng online resources, open resources. So isa na sa sinisimulan namin gawin yon sa pamamagitan ng CAP website. Meron kami mga resources dyan eh. Yung organize namin and then we will start getting materials and you can download it if you want. Pero bago ka makapag-upload, may vetting process. Kailangan meron muna
Quality
standard.
control.
Quality control. Check din natin kung hindi ka nag-opya sa iba, no? Kung original talaga yun. No?
maganda
So,
na.
nandun na sa usapan na gano'n.
Oo nga.
So sharing
Okay.
now becomes a culture. Sharing
Opo.
becomes a culture in all our Catholic schools.
Yeah.
Yes,
And actually,
Father.
that is the strength of CAP, solidarity and unity of action, no? So talagang it's very much in our mission, no? Nako, it's almost 12 o'clock. So in 1 minute, I will ask you, Father, to give your final words. Mr. Arellano might also want to address some of our member schools. So we go with Alan first and then final words from Father Nolan.
Okay.
Arellano?
Thank you, Mary Ann. And I'm so happy that Father gave this talk. Maganda rin yung presentation niya because he started with quoting our founder, si Archbishop Doherty. He's a visionary. He was an extraordinary man, a very saintly man. No? If you've read about his life, he served the church for 33 years as Archbishop of Manila in
Correct.
the Philippines. No?
Correct.
And he
Longest.
founded so many institutions, and SEAP being one of them, and probably some of your schools, Father.
Yes.
So
yes.
I'm so happy that you highlighted him. Next year, SEAP will be celebrating the 80th founding anniversary of CAP, and we want to highlight him as a person, as a founder of our institution. So maraming salamat po.
Thank you, Alan. Father Nolan, your parting shot?
Yes, announcement to everyone. So, of the monumental project that our commission started last year. So, there were 2 learning areas, the CLE and the ESP. Now it's GMRC. Thanks be to God, natapos din po yung project na yon. And I would like to invite every one of you. I'll be giving a talk next week, July 27, entitled An Option to Integrate. An option to integrate. I will be presenting to you the project that we have that was completed already. So sana po it will be a big help to all our schools, more so the mission schools which compose the majority of the CAP schools. Sa awa ni Lord, isa na lang po ang ating learning area, combined CLE GMRC. Baka naman
Wow.
ma-excited kayo, tanungin niyo ako, Father, how to implement it? How to implement it?
So ito
Kailangan
na
manood sila ng webinar.
Correct. So that's July 27, 28, 29. What
Yes,
time,
yes.
Father?
Abangan
What
natin
time?
yan.
Hapon
What
yan, 4 o'clock in the afternoon.
4 o'clock in the afternoon. We will share it, Mr. Arellano, in our Facebook page.
Yes,
Yeah,
yes, please.
please.
So please watch that webinar. It harmonizes the CLE curriculum with the GMRC, yung bagong batas. Father, no, umabot ito
Yes,
sa
yes.
natin, bagong batas. Okay, so thank you very much. But let us end with the quotable quote ni Father Nolan ngayon, no? Where there is a mission, there will always
There's
be
provision.
Provision.
And love is not something that is said, it is something that
That
is
is
It's
done.
done.
So let me just remind everyone to please do your evaluation now. The link is at the bottom of the comment section of the CAP Facebook page. It is going to be available until 2 p.m. and you will receive your certificate of attendance within the next few days. No? So this has been Mean Cruz, your Deputy Executive Director. We thank Father Nolan and Mr. Arellano. And we all say thank you and good afternoon, everyone.
Thank you.